So once you import your image, you might want to scale it up and down. There's two different ways of doing it. I'm going to grab the scale menu. So I'm going to scale 2D. And the base point, I'm going to grab this point here in the middle, and then I'm going to grab the midpoint here at the edge, the bottom edge of the image. So I'm clicking here, and then holding Shift to scale it up and down, okay? Now, another way of doing it is pressing on the gumball, and once you have the gumball on, you can grab one of the squares, either the green or the red, and hold Shift so you can manually scale it up and down. Once you have scaled your image to the size that you want, it's a good idea to place your image in a separate layer so you start to organize your work. So I'm going to select the image and right click on the layer one and change object layer, and then I'm going to write image. And before I start tracing, another thing that I like to do is just to add some transparency to the picture. So I'm going to select it, and on the properties of the object, I'm going to the materials and add some transparency. So it will be easier to see your line while you're tracing. So now I'm ready to start tracing. I'm going to move on to layer 2, and I'm going to lock my image so it doesn't move out of place. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to bring the polylines and also the curves. So I'm going to bring them to the menu here. Now I'm going to change this blue color to a color that you can see better, to a brighter color, green. And I want to make sure that I have the project on, so when I'm tracing the image, my curves are going to be on the 0 on this construction plane. So they will be flat on the ground on the 0, and then when I want to extrude them, it's going to be easier, so it's going to work perfectly. So I'm going to start tracing, and I'm going to trace the outline first, and then the sections here in the middle, okay? So I'm going to use a curve from interpolated points, and as you can see, my mouse now is just snapping to the grid. So when you're doing when you're tracing an image that is not with straight lines and it does not follow the grid, you want to deselect the grid snap and still keep the project on. So I'm going to do half of it, and I'm going to start here on the head. Every time you get to a sharp corner, you know, the mouse is not going to allow you to do it. So you have to stop and make sure that you have the end object snap on, and then you restart. To restart, you just press enter again, and it goes back to the last command that you were doing. So I'm going to do this quite quickly. I'm getting to a sharp point here, so stopping, enter again to restart, and following the shape, and then you can always edit the control points later. So another sharp point, enter, enter again, and continue tracing. So I've done the outline quickly. I'm going to edit the control points after, and I'm going to move on to layer 3 now, and I'm going to do these bigger sections here. Again, I want to make sure that I have my project on, my end object snap on, and I'm going to start tracing. So again, once you get onto sharp points, you stop, press enter again to go back to the same command you were using, which is the curves. Stop, enter, and then enter again. Okay, so I'm going to do the same for all the sections here on the purple layer here. It's really important, I'm just going to do the last section here, that when you are tracing that you have your end object snap on, because when you restart a line you want the mouse to snap to the end of the previous line. So then when you join them, you're not going to have any issues and you're going to have all closed curves. Now I'm going to do the last part of the tracing. So I'm going to trace these ellipses here, and this time I'm not going to use the curves, but I'm going to use the ellipses. So I'm going to move on to another layer, so the orange layer, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm basically just going to roughly do some ellipses rather than actually using the curves to trace these circles and ellipses, okay? Now I'm going to edit the tracing that I have done through the control point. So the first thing I want to do is actually I want to hide the image. I want to bring my grid snap back on, and I want to make sure that this curve here, the green curve, touches actually the middle, because I'm going to mirror it after. So using the gumball, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this point and then use the move and grab that endpoint and make sure that, you know, it touches the green line, so the midpoint here of my butterfly. And I'm going to do the same for here, for the bottom. Now bring back your image and you know, select the points that you want to adjust, and you can use the gumball. But to use the gumball is a good idea now to just remove the grid snap, because otherwise it's just going to move the points too much. So without the grid snap I can slide the arrows with more control. I'm not going to edit this, you know, spend a lot of time editing this. You can spend some time doing that. If you need to add more control points, for example, if you wanted to add a control point here, what you need to do, you need to bring the points menu and insert a control point. So for example, if I want to insert one here, I'm going to follow the instructions, select the curve, this one, and then with the mouse, you're going to click wherever you want to add a control point. Okay, so if I wanted to add a point here, I just add it, and I can continue to edit to follow better my image. The same way, if you want to delete a control point, let's say I wanted to delete a point here, I just select the point and I press delete. Before mirroring the butterfly, I will join the curve. So to join, I will use the puzzle here, and is asking me to select the objects to join. So I'm just going to click on the curves, and then it says 3 curves join into one closed curve. Now, to make this faster, I could hide the green and the orange layers and just select the whole group of curves and press join. And this is telling me now on the command line that 14 curves joined into 11 closed curves. And then I can do the same for the other layers. So I can bring the green and the orange. So the orange are all closed, so I don't need to join them. And so I hide the orange and the purple, and I can join the green all at once. And this is now telling me that 7 curves were joined into one open curve that I will then mirror. Now I'm going to mirror the butterfly, so I'm going to select the whole thing. You want to make sure that you have your end object snap on, and you go to the transform command and you're going to select mirror. So it's asking me for the start of the mirror plane, and I'm going to grab that point there and hold shift and click somewhere. It doesn't have to be a long line, it can be a short line, as long as you're holding shift and you click on somewhere on the grid where your mirror plane is straight and vertical.